So I have been tagged by Prairie Plant Girl to list 5 vegetable gardening tips in 5 minutes. I think it's supposed to be 5 of your top tips, but I think those have already been going around the YouTube. So I'm just going to speak to 5 tips. Check out Prairie Plant Girl's website. I'll put the link down below, and her tips are top tips. So I won't reiterate anything there. But, and at first I truly thought, I'm not qualified to give tips. I have kind of a northern cold climate and very windy, so I may do things different and odd. But I thought, well, what the heck, I'll explain some of the things I do and the reasons why they are tips and why I practice it. Where possible, I practice intensive planting. That's planting my plants closer together than the seed packets recommend, which gives my plants wind protection. Now, when I plant this close together, my plants protect each other. I also need to water less. As they grow, they crowd each other out, but they hug each other and survive the wind. They retain the moisture, and no weeds. I don't weed during the summer at all. I only weed at the very beginning when it's maybe at the stage where they're in between, because I do have the flying, what do you call it stuff? It's like the dandelion and the thistles, the darn thistles. You know the results you want, so pick your seeds accordingly. So the tip, choose seeds to get the results that you want and you need and you're aware of in your area. So for example, Brussels sprouts, they can grow tall and they're very long seasons. So I chose something called Jade Cross, which is the earliest maturing, and it holds well in adverse weather. They're very short and low to the ground. No brainer to get that one. Parsnips, I eat from my garden whenever I need food on the table. So I don't wait till parsnips all mature and have sweetened after a frost. So I chose a seed that is sweet all the time and it's beautiful. These are decisions, everyone's got their own, but make sure that you choose the seeds well. I also have no problem with hybrids. You can't save, they're not open pollinated, you can't save the seeds, but they are bred for, well, I'm a great example. Many vegetables are bred for short seasons, bug resistant, whatever you might be facing. Just make sure you're reading and not just willy-nilly picking seeds out, because it's just much better when things perform better for you. Stake early before it gets too messy to get in there or you disturb the roots. My next one's a quick one. Stake early. Something I'm still learning. I have found out my Romanesca was a prime example. Too late that they didn't form their heads because of wind rock. My Brussels sprouts could have used some stakes. The ones that were protected down in my beds, they were fine, but the ones that were more exposed, they actually wanted to start flowering. So stake early, and it goes without saying with your tomatoes and things like that. But so that's my next tip. I practice interplanting where possible, mixing flowers and mixing all the vegetables together. It confuses the bad pests and attracts the good pests. I interplant what you find recommended. Again, do your research. I don't always stick to the research. I just stick things in. I stick marigolds in. They're going to attract pollinators. I stick dill in every bed. It attracts the hoverfly wasp. I'm not sure what that is. And that's great for the green little worms on my cabbage. And they're covered in them. It's really cool. So I mix I'm mixing an intense planting anyways, but I also intense interplant, and that's strictly to help me with bugs. You don't have to be an expert, just dive in there, have fun, make mistakes. My final tip, you don't have to be an expert. I don't purport to be any form of expert here, and I'm just flying by the seat of my pants and experimenting. I love experimenting, absolutely love all vegetables, so I love putting new ones in. When I say you don't have to be an expert, we hear so much, it's intimidating sometimes when you think, oh, I don't do that, oh, I don't do that. But some of the things that the experts don't always work for your spaces. A lot doesn't work for mine. And what I would tell you isn't going to work for you either. So, but just have fun, experiment, and don't stress about it. It's at the end of the day, it's about putting food on your table that's healthy for you and cost effective and good for the soul. So I'm not going to nominate anyone. I think this has been around a long time, but please join in if you haven't given your 5 tips. We'd love to hear them.